The following content contains graphic descriptions of predatory behavior, deep-sea psychological horror, and disturbing historical accounts. Viewer discretion is advised. The silent scream is not responsible for what you see the next time you look at the ocean. In 1918, a group of fishermen in Port Stephens, Australia, went out to check their equipment on a morning that started like every other morning of their working lives. These were not soft men. These were not people who were frightened easily. They had spent decades on the ocean. They knew its moods. They knew its animals. They knew exactly what lived in those waters and what didn't. They thought they knew. When they reached their equipment, it was gone. Not lost, not tangled, destroyed. Heavy iron cages built to sit on the ocean floor, crushed flat. Whatever got to them didn't struggle. It simply removed them without breaking stride. And then one of the men looked over the side of the boat. He didn't say anything. He just went completely still, because in the water below them was something so large that the man's brain simply stopped. His eyes were working, but there was no category for what he was seeing. No word that fit. Pale, almost white, moving without urgency, without sound, like it had nowhere to be. Like nothing in that water had ever given it a reason to hurry. The men went back to shore. They sat down, and after a long time, one of them spoke. They never went back to that water. Not one of them, not ever. They walked away from their jobs, their income, and the only life they had ever known, because of what they saw in that water that morning. Something that size does not need to chase you. It just needs to find you. Now, let me tell you what it was. Most people think they are afraid of great white sharks. They are not afraid of great white sharks. They are afraid of the idea of great white sharks. They are afraid of the movie poster, the fin above the water, the 2-inch tooth behind glass in a museum gift shop. A great white shark next to Megalodon is like a goldfish next to a submarine. Otodus Megalodon, the name means giant tooth, is real. Completely, undeniably, scientifically documented real. Not a legend. Not a misidentification. Not a story fishermen told to explain away something they didn't understand. Real. The fossils prove it. The teeth prove it. The crushed whale bones found all over the world, bones the diameter of tree trunks snapped clean, prove it in a way that leaves no room for argument. This animal was 50 to 65 feet long, 270 teeth in its mouth at one time, always replacing, always sharp, over 7 inches each, serrated, built by 20 million years of evolution to do exactly one thing. A great white tooth averages 2 inches, 2 inches, and we have built an entire cultural mythology of fear around that animal. Movies, theme park rides, entire television weeks dedicated to it. Millions of people who refuse to swim in the ocean because of a 2-inch tooth on a 15-foot shark. Now take that tooth and triple it. Now multiply the shark by 4. Now put that animal in every ocean on the planet simultaneously, because that is exactly where the fossils have been found. Every continent except Antarctica. Warm water, cold water, shallow coastal bays, deep open ocean. No boundaries, no territory lines, because Megalodon did not have a territory. The entire ocean was its territory. Every part of it, every depth, every coastline, every stretch of blue water that has ever existed on this planet for 20 million years belonged to this animal. And here's the thing that should make the hair on the back of your neck stand up right now. 20 million years is not a long time ago in the way that feels safely distant. Dinosaurs died 66 million years ago. Megalodon was still alive and hunting and absolutely dominant in our oceans less than 4 million years ago. 4 million years. In geological time, in the actual age of this planet, that is nothing. That is yesterday. That is so recent that the oceans it swam in looked almost exactly like the oceans that exist today. The same oceans, the same water, the same coastlines, and then silence. We will get to the silence. And I promise you, the silence is the scariest part of all of this. Let me paint you a picture. You are in the water, open ocean. The surface is calm. The water is warm and clear and blue, and there is nothing around you in any direction except more water. Everything feels fine. Everything feels safe. 8 to 10 feet below the surface, the moving upward, something opens its mouth. 8 to 10 feet wide. That jaw, not 8 to 10 feet long, 8 to 10 feet wide when open. You could walk inside it upright without ducking. Two grown adults, shoulder to shoulder, would fit inside that jaw with room left over on both sides. The teeth lining that jaw, over 270 of them, are each longer than your hand from wrist to fingertip. Every single one of them serrated. Every single one of them designed specifically to cut through bone. And when that jaw closes, it closes with 40,000 pounds of force, 40,000 pounds. A great white shark bites at 4,000 pounds. Megalodon bit down with 10 times the force of a great white. It bit through whale spines, whale ribs, bones the thickness of telephone poles, not chewed through, not worked at over time, snapped, clean, in a single bite, the same mechanical ease with which you bite through a cracker. But here is the part that changes how this animal feels in your imagination. It was not frantic, it was not wild. It did not thrash and tear and attack in a frenzy the way a feeding shark behaves when blood hits the water. Fossil evidence, real bite marks found on real whale bones pulled from the earth all over the world, tells us exactly how Megalodon operated. It went for the fins first, or the tail. Always the mobility, always the escape route. Take away the ability to swim, take away any chance of getting away. And only then, calm, deliberate, unhurried, the killing bite. It had a plan, a cold, precise, practiced plan, and it ran that same plan on the largest animals that have ever lived in our oceans. And it worked every time, without exception. For 20 million years, one strike, silent, deliberate, done. The whale had no options left before it even understood what was happening. And here is the detail that genuinely keeps people awake. The attack made no sound, no warning splash, no aggressive circling that might alert the prey, no buildup of any kind, just open water and then contact. By the time any sound reached the surface, the hunt was already finished. Think about that the next time you are floating in the ocean and everything feels calm and quiet and safe. Because calm and quiet was exactly what it felt like right before Megalodon moved. Every single time. Silence out there was never safety. Silence was just the last thing you heard. Before we keep going, if this video is already getting under your skin, drop tooth in the comments right now. I want to know who is watching this alone tonight. Subscribe to The Silent Scream. New horror every single week. And do not go anywhere. Because what comes next is where this gets truly dark. Scientists have found whale bones on the ocean floor across every major body of water on Earth. Bones from completely different time periods, different species, different oceans, and the bite patterns on them are identical. Same attack location, same angle, same result, over and over across thousands of miles and millions of years. This was not instinct running loose. This was a system, a tested, refined, absolutely perfected system of killing that works so completely for so long that 20 million years of evolution never once needed to change a single thing about it. Not one thing. Nothing that ever lived found a way to survive it. Not one animal, not one species, not one single time in 20 million years. Here is the part people never expect, and once you hear it, you are going to wish you hadn't. Megalodon did not live exclusively in the deep ocean. That idea, the comforting idea that it was far out in some unreachable darkness, miles below anything we would ever encounter, is something people want to believe because the alternative is significantly worse. The alternative is this: young megalodons, juveniles still growing, lived in shallow water, warm, coastal, close to shore. Fossil evidence shows us nursery sites, clusters of smaller megalodon teeth found grouped together in concentrated areas, in what is now Panama, in South Carolina, along coastlines that today are lined with beach houses and vacation rentals and families setting up umbrellas and coolers and letting their children run into the surf. That is where baby megalodons hunted, in water warm enough to stand in, close enough to shore to see the beach clearly, in the same kind of water that people drive hours to spend a week in every single summer. And if the juveniles were that close to shore, The adults were not hiding in some inaccessible trench miles below the surface either. They were using the same ocean, the same coastlines, the same water that has always felt like ours. It was never ours. We just arrived after it was gone. Or, and this is the thought you should really sit with right now, after it seemed to be gone. Because the ocean has never once confirmed anything either way. It has never posted a sign, never sent a message, never offered any kind of reassurance. It just sits there, flat and calm and endlessly blue. The same way it did when those fishermen in Port Stevens looked over the side of their boat and went completely silent. The ocean keeps its business to itself. It always has. Let's talk about what Megalodon's daily life actually looked like. Because this matters. This is the part that changes how you think about its disappearance, and why the disappearance is the most unsettling part of this entire story. Megalodon woke up every single day as the most dangerous living thing on this planet. Not in its region, not in its part of the ocean, on Earth, the whole planet. There was no animal alive anywhere that could challenge it, nothing that would try, nothing that had any reason to even consider it. It had never experienced fear, not once, not a single day of its 20-million-year existence. Great white sharks were already in the ocean when Megalodon was alive. The same great whites that keep millions of people out of the water today. Megalodon did not register them. They were the background, irrelevant, the way a dog barely notices a fly crossing the room. Orcas need a group to take down a great white. Megalodon needed nobody. So here is the question. Something that has never been threatened, never been challenged, never had a single reason to adapt defensively in 20 million years of existence, suddenly vanishes from the fossil record around 3.6 million years ago. The official explanation is environmental. Cooling oceans, shifting prey. The large whale populations Megalodon depended on started to decline, and eventually the food could not support an animal that size. Reasonable, backed by evidence. Throughout the 1800s, sailors working commercial routes across the Pacific and Atlantic began filing reports that their captains and shipping companies did not know what to do with. Sharks of impossible size, animals longer than the ships themselves in some accounts, dorsal fins rising higher than a standing man, moving slowly alongside vessels for extended periods before descending back into the water without any change in pace or behavior. Not one of these animals was ever officially identified. The reports came from different oceans, different decades, completely unconnected people who had no way of comparing accounts with each other. And the descriptions matched almost perfectly every single time. Pale coloring, enormous size, completely unhurried movement, total indifference to human presence. In 1875, the crew of the HMS Challenger, a scientific research vessel conducting what was one of the first serious deep ocean expeditions in history, pulled up equipment from the ocean floor and found Megalodon teeth embedded in the sediment. This alone was not unusual. Megalodon teeth are found on the ocean floor all over the world. What was unusual was the condition of some of those teeth. Rather than the heavily mineralized, dark fossilized appearance of teeth that have been on the ocean floor for millions of years, some of the teeth recovered were described as being in a state of preservation that suggested they had not been sitting in that sediment for anywhere near that long. This finding was noted, it was documented, and it was quietly set aside because there was no comfortable explanation for it. Then there was the case reported in 1918 from the crew of a steamship crossing the Indian Ocean, who described a shark of extraordinary size surfacing alongside their vessel for nearly 20 minutes before submerging again. The captain logged it. He estimated the animal at over 60 feet in length. He was an experienced mariner who had crossed that ocean dozens of times and had never reported anything unusual before or after. He described it as pale, moving slowly, completely unbothered by the ship, like it had all the time in the world. Because as far as anything in that water was concerned, it did. In 1918, the same year that steamship captain filed his log entry in the Indian Ocean, on the other side of the world, something happened in a small fishing community in Port Stevens, Australia, that ended careers and changed men permanently. A group of professional crayfish fishermen went out one morning to check their pots. These men had worked those waters their entire adult lives. The ocean was not romantic to them, or frightening, or mysterious. It was their job, their daily routine, as familiar to them as a factory floor or a farmer's field. They reached the area where their equipment was set. The pots were gone, or what remained of them was unrecognizable. Heavy iron cages built to withstand the pressure and weight of deep water. Crushed, scattered across the floor like they were made of paper. Whatever had encountered that equipment had not been inconvenienced by it. It had simply passed through. And then someone looked over the side. What they saw in the water beneath them, moving slowly, pale, enormous beyond any reference point they had from their entire lives spent on the ocean, stopped every one of them completely. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They stood at the railing of their boat and watched it pass beneath them, and none of them said a single word until it was gone. One of the men later described trying to estimate the size of what he saw by comparing it to the boat. He said he got partway through that calculation and stopped, because the number he was arriving at was not a number he was willing to say out loud. The fishing operation closed. Every man refused to return to those waters. What they saw that morning did not just frighten them, it reached inside them and changed something fundamental about the way they understood the world. It took the version of reality they had lived inside their entire lives and replaced it with something they had no framework for. Something that moves that slowly, that calmly, that completely without urgency, in water that deep, is not an animal that has ever had to worry about anything. Not once, not ever, not in its entire existence. You only move like that when nothing in your world has ever threatened you, and nothing in that water ever had. Now, picture yourself in open water, not a beach, the real ocean, miles from shore, 12,000 feet of darkness below your feet. Water so deep and so cold it stops feeling like water at all. You are floating on the surface of that. Now think about everything you have learned in this video. Think about an animal rising from directly below you, from that darkness, from 12,000 feet of silence, without making a single sound. Think about the fact that it does not hurry. Think about the fact that hurrying was never something it needed to do. Think about the fact that its first move is always to remove escape. Always. And that this system worked perfectly without a single modification for 20 million years. Think about the fact that we are not certain it is gone. Think about the fact that 80% of the water beneath your feet right now, in this moment, has never been seen by a single human being. Real fear is not knowing something is there. Real fear is knowing that you would never know until the water around you changed, and by then there would be no time to process it. No warning, no sound, no moment of realization before the moment was already over. Just the surface of the ocean above you, calm, flat, giving nothing away, the same way it always has. The ocean has been here longer than everything on this planet, longer than trees, longer than insects, longer than the first creature that pulled itself out of the water and chose land. Whatever lives in the deep water has been living there since before our species had language, before we had fire, before the first human being stood on a shore and felt that pull, that ancient signal, that feeling that something on the other side of the water was aware of you. That feeling did not come from nowhere. The deep ocean does not announce itself. It does not make noise or leave tracks or give warnings or offer explanations. It holds what it holds in absolute silence, and that silence has never broken for our benefit, not once in all of human history. Megalodon left teeth, thousands of them, scattered across ocean floors and cliff faces and riverbeds on every continent. 7-inch serrated teeth that survived millions of years in the sediment long after everything else about that animal had disappeared. Teeth that outlasted the creature that grew them by millions of years. And those teeth are still washing up on beaches today. In the sand, where people walk barefoot, where children play. The animal is supposedly gone. The teeth are still here. And somewhere out there, in the 70% of this planet covered by water, in the 80% of that water that no human being has ever laid eyes on, in the darkness that begins where light stops and does not end until it reaches the ocean floor, 36,000 feet below. The water's moving. Something is always moving through it. Whether that is the ocean doing what oceans do, currents and cold and pressure and time, or whether it is something that has not been found yet because we have not looked in the right places, is a question that has never been answered. The ocean kept that secret for 20 million years while Megalodon was alive. It has kept it for 3.6 million years since the teeth stopped showing up in the fossil record. And here is the last thing I will leave you with. You are going to go about your day after this video ends. You are going to eat and sleep and go to work and live your life the same way you always have. And most of the time, you will not think about this. But one day, maybe this summer, maybe next year, maybe 10 years from now, you are going to be standing at the edge of the ocean, and you are going to look out at that flat blue surface. And somewhere in the back of your mind, in that quiet place where the things you cannot unknow tend to live, something is going to stir, and you are going to take one step back from the water, and you are not going to be entirely sure why. The ocean has never needed our permission to keep its secrets. It is not going to start now. The ocean is out there right now. It is dark. It is deep. It is moving. And we still do not know what is in it. Like this video. Subscribe to The Silent Scream. And the next time someone tells you the water is safe, remember every single word you just heard.